Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mandy, could you please call the roll?
Danstruck.
Here.
Butler.
Here.
Hopkins.
Here.
Van Strylen.
Here.
Force and Carlstone are absent.
City Council has adopted a code of civility. As elected officials, we pledge to promote civility through extending respect to others, listening to understand, disagreeing without disrespect, engaging collaboratively, and speaking up to address incivility. Just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast for Pella TV. So anyone who wishes to speak to council, approach the podium over here, the microphone before speaking, so that those listening at home can hear your comments and see you on camera. Can I get a motion for approval of the tentative agenda?
So moved. Support.
Van Strylen, Banstra, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Danstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes. Motion passed. I would like to appoint Jacob Keller to the Community Services Board. Jacob is a project engineer premier. If approved, his new 3-year term would expire on January 1, 2029. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Hopkins, Van Strylen, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Danstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. This time we have opportunity for a public forum. Anyone wishing to address council regarding any agenda item, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening, Harry Ehrlich, 725 Countryside Lane. I'd like to comment on item F2. That's the resolution about setting the hearing for the maximum property tax. I'd like to encourage you to look at option 2 or option B, whichever way you want to call it. It's a little less than the other option, but it shows a reflection of lowering the operating levy just a little bit, and then having to consider the additional levy for the debt service. And as we know, over the last 1.5 years, 2 years, we've a lot of projects that are coming down the pike, including the University Drive next month. And I just would encourage you to look at is holding the line as much as you can. I think it would make a statement to the public when you have your public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Harry, anyone else? Okay, can I get a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved. Support.
Banstra, Hopkins, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Danstruck.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. We'll enter into a public hearing on the matter of the adoption of plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the construction of the apron expansion paving, Pella Municipal Airport 2026. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. For those in attendance and those watching at home on Pella TV, I'd like to direct your attention to the big board for a brief presentation on this item. As Mayor Board stated, tonight's public hearing is on the apron expansion at the Pella Municipal Airport, and we hope the recent bid letting on the project. There, as you can see the bids, we received some very good bids that were under the engineer's estimate. But as far as the low bid was TK Concrete, just amounted just shy of $446,000, and the high bid on it was a very tight spread. It was just right around just shy of $568,000. And as you can see, that the low bid was under the engineer's estimate of $615,000. Now, just to orientate everyone, the corporate hangars and right here in this, we have a southern expansion of the apron expansion that's right here. Pella Corporation's new hangar is going to be located right over here. So Heidi, let's go ahead, please. Now, equally important to note, when we consider this contract that we're this evening, it's just shy of $446,000. We did receive a grant from the Iowa Department of Transportation for this project, and we believe that grant amount to be roughly about $237,000, which means the city's financial share of this project will be just at $209,000. Now, if council were to approve the resolutions that we're considering this evening, we'd be looking at a final completion date somewhere right
Council comments? Are they scheduled to build that hangar this summer?
Is Brad Udemark?
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
I didn't remember the timeline for it.
I don't know that it'll be completed, but it's planned to be started in, I think, July or August. Okay.
All right. Any comments from a member of the audience on this item? All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Hopkins and Stryland, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 7014, entitled Resolution Adopting Plan Specifications, Form of Contract, and Estimate of Cost for the Apron Expansion Paving, Pella Municipal Airport 2026. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Manstra, Hopkins, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 7015, entitled Resolution Making Award of Construction Contract for the Airport Expansion Paving, Pella Municipal Airport 2026. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Hopkins, was that Manstra?
Both.
Huh?
Yeah.
All right. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 7016, entitled Resolution Authorizing Participation in the Iowa State University Electric Grid Resilience Toolkit Collaborative Cohort. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and as Mayor Ward stated, what this resolution would do is authorize the city's participation in a project that's being sponsored by Iowa State University, the Electric Grid Resilience Project. Now, as a part of the resolution, Mr. Nate Spurgeon, our electric director, would be the city's representative for this project. And overall, city staff supports this project. That's much needed research in the state of Iowa, and we are encouraging the city's not only encouraging but recommending the city's participation in the project. So we are recommending approval of the resolution this evening, Mr. Mayor.
All right, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Van Strylen, Hopkins. Any discussion?
Is this an ongoing program, or is this a brand new one for the university?
I believe this is the initial year,
Okay.
initial project.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we'll vote on the motion. All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 7017, entitled Resolution Setting Time and Place for a Public Hearing for the Purpose of Considering the Proposed Tax Levy for the City's Fiscal Year 2026-2027 Budget. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, once again, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the Mayor Board for the presentation on this item. As Mayor Board stated, what we're really doing with this resolution is we're setting April 7th as the public hearing for consideration of the city's maximum property tax levy amount for the fiscal year 2027. So this would be the fiscal year that would start on July 1st of this year and extend through June 30th, 2027. And for those that may not be familiar with this process at the state of Iowa, this is the maximum amount that the city of Pella can levy for the upcoming budget year. But the city's not obligated to adopt this amount, rather it's just simply the maximum amount that can be levied on that as well. So city staff has listed two options up on the board for consideration this evening. The first column that we have listed up there shows what the current FY26, so this would be the current levy amount is $10.75 per $1,000 of taxable valuation. Option number one would extend that up to $11.33, and as you can see from this chart, it's primarily due to what we anticipate is an increase in the debt service levy of approximately 60 cents, and that is anticipated to fund the University Street Extension project. Option number two, a slight reduction at this time, and that's where we're at with the budget right now. On it is about a 13% reduction in the city's operating levy. We feel comfortable saying if the council would like to go to a lower amount than $11.33. But in making this decision, I think it's important that we consider a couple items on the matter. The first thing is the bid letting, actually bids on University Street, I believe are due on March 10th of this year. So we're going to know a whole heck of a lot more about that debt service levy on University Street and the Baseline Drive Extension Project after March 10th on this as well. So we'll be able to talk more intelligently about that actual levy amount as well. The other thing to keep in mind that really it's taken some time with this budget is we have roughly about $6.2 million worth of projects that when we approved them, we said, well, they could be funded with the debt service levy. What we're trying to do right now is to see if we can fund all those projects with cash reserves on it as well. We're not quite at the process where we absolutely say that we're going to fund everything. We may need to reserve a portion of the debt service levy as well as for that. The other thing I'd like to bring in mind in consideration is there's been a lot of talk about future property tax legislation, and what's anticipated is the move of property tax legislation to be for fiscal year 2028. Some of these bills are actually considering capping not only what would be called the general fund operating levy, but also the employee benefit levies, as well as insurance levies as well, in what was considered to be a hard cap. So where I'm going with this is right now we're not sure which bill it's going to be, if any, is adopted by the state of Iowa. It's likely there will be some sort of property tax legislation. And in making these recommendations at this time, on 1133, if you factor in all three of those scenarios, gives the council the most flexibility on it when we meet to discuss the budget, which is going to be on March 30th. Hopefully the state of Iowa will give us some clarity on what future property taxes may hold for cities in trying to financially plan as well. So on March 30th, we should know more when we sit down and look at this. But if we look at these higher levy amounts, even though we may come in under both of them, it gives the city council options to consider for the future. If you set the tax levy at $11.33 or $11.20, as opposed to $10.75 right now, which there'd be very little flexibility under that scenario. So with that, Mr. Mayor, this is a council decision, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
All right, so the motion made will have to include what rate, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
What do you?
Oh.
What do you think, Cal?
I think, like Mike said, let's give us the most flexibility, and then decide at the public hearing that we want to go that high.
Yeah. Motion for option one.
Okay. Is there support?
Support.
Hopkins, Manstra. Discussion?
Yeah, I hope we don't have to go to that max level. I know there are people still struggling. Wages for some people have gone up a little bit, but, you know, we're still struggling with inflation that's gone up over the last years, even though they've gone down somewhat. So I guess my only comment is I hope we don't have to go to that top level.
Yeah, you know, just as a reminder, we're not setting the rate now. We're just
I know, I realize that.
Setting and we will have a lot of discussion before we actually set the rate. So I would agree, I don't vote, but I would agree that, let's have enough flexibility in there. I'm confident we're not going to have to go there, but, at this point in time, I don't see a reason to not have maximum flexibility.
If the baseline drive bid comes in as percentage low as this recent one that we did on that, we'll change our approach to that too, based on the engineer's estimate.
What is the engineer's estimate on that?
Brad, as far as the engineering estimate on University Street and Baseline Drive,
I don't have that with me tonight, but I think it's around 5.2, 5.3 million.
yeah, that's the construction cost.
Yeah.
Overall, all in, I think it's north of 6 when you look at the engineering fees as well as land acquisition for the project as well. So.
Okay. All right, so the motion is to set it at tax levy of 1133, option 1. All those in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Manny, please call the roll.
Hopkins.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 7018, entitled Resolution Authorizing Execution of a Community Attraction and Tourism Grant Agreement with the Iowa Economic Development Authority for the Pella Community Center Renovation Project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. As Mayor Ward stated, with this resolution, it is approved a grant agreement with the Iowa Economic Development Authority. And this is in regards to the proposed renovation project for the city's Pella Community Center project. It's important to note the grant amount that we're talking about this evening is an amount of $500,000, and roughly the community center project is roughly about a $9 million project on it. So with this, if we agree to the terms for the grant amount, what the completion date that we have listed in the contract documents with the state is December 31st, 2027, and we feel comfortable with this that date as well. And finally, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of the grant this evening.
All right, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support. Mr. Island Hopkins, any discussion?
Mike, was this the one where the county had to have a small matching, or was that a different one?
No, that you are correct, Councilman Vance, really, in order to qualify for this, Marion County is contributing $25,000 towards this project.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right, we'll vote on the motion. All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 7001, entitled Resolution Determining an Area of the City to be an Economic Development Area, and that the rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment, development, or a combination thereof of such area is necessary in the interest of the public health, safety, or welfare of the residents of the city, designating such area as appropriate for urban renewal projects, and adopting amendment number 2 to the Lely Urban Renewal Plan. Mike?
I guess, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item, and as Mayor Ward stated, what we have here this evening is an amendment to the Lely Urban Renewal Plan. The Lely Urban Renewal Plan was originally approved right around 2019. It was intended at the time to finance infrastructure for Lely's new corporate headquarters in Pella. Since we have two projects that are in very close proximity to the Lely Urban Renewal Plan, and since both of them share the same goals as the Lely Urban Renewal Plan, which is an expansion of the city's commercial and industrial development base, we thought it was appropriate to proceed with an amendment for the two projects that we're going to talk about this evening with this on it. So when we look at the two projects on this would be the University Street and Baseline Drive extension, a project that we have. Important to note that the number that Mr. Utermark gave us this evening as far as the engineer's estimate, once you add in the engineering costs, land acquisition, and then our number also with the University Street and Baseline Drive project also includes the sanitary sewer project for the recreation center as well. And that's how we're getting up to roughly about the $7.5 million project that we have for it. So with that, that's one eligible project that could be used with tax increment financing revenues. The second project that we have is we're also planning on reconstructing Old Highway 163. So this would be just east of East 16th Street in Pella. And we're going about 150 feet east of the Pella Bridge entrance on this as well on Old Highway 163, which would be Oskaloosa Street right here. And we're also going to be doing some work about 150 feet north on 240th as well as on Eagle Lane as well. That project is right around a $2.5 million project as well. So when we look at that project, we think it does have a positive impact on commercial and industrial development. And specifically with that project, we're going to be adding an additional storm sewer for that project as well. So we think all those projects combined will have an impact and should facilitate additional commercial and industrial development within the community. Now, to explain the new territory that's being added for these projects, the original Lely Urban Renewal Plan was everything you see here in red. Everything you see in green is being added for these projects as well. So that's mainly the Pella Sports Park to capture the Baseline Drive extension project, as well as the University Street right-of-way that we have as the green area. And then we have also captured the new industrial park that we have that's just west of the Pella Christian High as well. So that's all what's wrapped up in this proposed amendment this evening. This is an important financing tool for the city to help finance public infrastructure projects for the city of Pella. And we're also hopeful that it'll lead to additional commercial and industrial development for the city staff presentation this evening. We are recommending approval of both of these items this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support. Hopkins and Stryland, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Andy, please call the roll.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, gotta take a little sip of water here to get through this one. Ordinance number 1084, entitled an ordinance amending ordinance number 984, providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on certain property located within the amended Lely urban renewal area of the City of Pella, County of Marion, State of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the State of Iowa, City of Pella, County of Marion, Pella Community School District, and other taxing districts be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued, incurred by the city in connection with the amended Lely Urban Renewal Area. Amendment number 2 to the Lely Urban Renewal Area Plan. This is the first reading. Can I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Hopkins, Banstra. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Hopkins.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Not enough of the council here to waive the other readings, so I'm gonna have to read that again. All right, can I get a motion for approval of the abstract of bills number 2194?
So moved.
Support.
Ms. Stryland, Hopkins, any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
DeAnstruck.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Any council members have any other business you'd like to have addressed this evening? Any member of the public have any other business you would like to have addressed this evening? If so, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. All right, we will adjourn to our policy and planning. First item is to discuss the Pella Dog Park.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and as Mayor Ward stated, what we're here to talk about is provide both an update on the proposed Pella Dog Park project. In addition, we're also looking for guidance this evening from the Pella City Council as it pertains to the proposed lease with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Now, just to orientate everyone, the proposed dog park is located on U.S. Army Corps of Engineers property, and specifically this project is located just on the north tailwater, so in very close proximity to House Station that we have as well. So we do have a map and a schematic overview of the proposed dog park area. So Heidi, let's go ahead, please. Now, as far as to just rehash a little bit of our agreement that we had for the city and what our responsibilities are for the proposed dog park, as far as the financial contribution for the project, the city is obligated up to $87,000 towards construction of the first phase of the project. We will construct and own the Pella Dog Park as well, and we'll also provide necessary maintenance at the park. Now, when we look at the necessary maintenance, this includes both the administrative duties as well as the operational duties. We believe that we're probably looking at operating costs of somewhere right around $10,000 to $15,000 per year as well. Now, a big part, not a big part, but a part of our obligation on this is to operate the dog park with the standard of due care. In order to do that, we think it's important to be able to have an understanding of what animals are actually inside the dog park for liability reasons as well. So we will be purchasing software as well to be able to track animal usage. And that's really kind of the driving force when we look at the registration of animals inside the proposed dog park, being able to charge fees for the project. Now, one of the items when we look at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the proposed lease that they have and that we want to talk to the council about is anytime we talk about fees for projects, typically when we look at recreational projects, we usually charge the citizens of Pella a lower rate than we charge everybody else that uses the city's recreational programs. And the reason why is a good portion of these recreational programs are funded by property taxes on this as well. So when you look at it, the citizens of Pella are paying their property taxes to support recreational projects. So if there is a usage fee or a service fee, it's typically lower for citizens of Pella versus non-citizens of Pella. before proceeding with the lease, that we just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page and that there's a firm understanding of this. And just in the conversations with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, what they've stated is that if there's going to be fees, and their preference is not to have any fees at all on it, but if there is going to be fees, and there is a process to be able to charge fees for the dog park on it, it does not appear that we're going to be able to have a separate rate for the citizens of Pella versus non-citizens of Pella. So we want to make sure that that's an item that's a little bit different than what we've operated other recreational projects on it. We're going to be looking for guidance at the tail end of this meeting on that item as well. So let's go ahead, please, Heidi. Okay, now as far as additional points to consider and whether we proceed with the lease with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on this, and when we say about the lease, there is a rather extensive application process with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and overall it's somewhere between about a 90 to 120-day process to actually have a lease prepared through the Corps of Engineers. And there's a lot of information that they'll need for it to be able to consider our lease, and so that's why we're looking for guidance on this as well. But considering taking the next step and filling out that application and getting that over to the Corps, we just want to make sure that as we make that decision that the Pella Dog Park Association's worked for several years on this project. They're also making a significant financial contribution to this project. And I think it goes, as council is well aware, but maybe for members of the public that may not be aware, siting dog parks is difficult on it, and particularly when you look at the community and Pella locations in Pella, there's challenging locations because most of them are within close proximity or within proximity to residential property, and that's caused conflicts, land use conflicts in the past when we've had sites within the community as well. So please keep that in mind. Also, when we look at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they are willing to dedicate property for this project. It's somewhere, I think, phase 1 is about 3 acres, and the overall project is roughly 5 acres for the project as well. And they are willing to assist with operational duties as well for the park, including providing patrol services for it, as well as mowing the park land and providing snow removal services for the parking area as well. So, and when we look at the proposed dog park, we anticipate it's going to serve both visitors to Lake Red Rock, Pella citizens, and citizens throughout Marion County. Now, this is just first blush, so don't get too hung up on the numbers, but you may be asking, what would be a typical fee for an annual pass to the dog park? We anticipate that number could be somewhere between $20 to $50 per animal that may utilize the dog park. So with that, Mr. Mayor, we are seeking guidance tonight on a proposed lease with the Pella Dog Park, and I would like to state that we do have Mr. and Mrs. Dr. Dykstra in attendance as well, representing the Pella Dog Park Association, and I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have on their involvement in the project as well. So with that, we're looking for guidance from the council on whether we should proceed with the lease with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay, yeah, Christie, could you come up here? I've got a couple questions. You'll be able to answer, I'm sure. Gotta make sure everybody watching and listening can hear too. So I'm just curious, is a fee to use dog park in communities typical?
Some have fees, some do not, so it's pretty typical.
Is that $20 to $50 per year in line?
Yes, I only know of one park that charges less than $20. Some charge over $50, so I think that's right in line.
Anybody else? No one knows more about dog parks.
Just thinking where it'd be located, we're gonna get a lot of campers and visitors that may just use it once. You know, is there something that can be set up for a daily fee, but that could be awkward to administer too? You know, just its location just lends itself to visitors coming there.
I believe we have Spencer and also Alex are in attendance, but we've talked about not only an annual pass, but also a day pass and maybe even up to a week pass as well. So
Okay.
there'll be options for fees
Okay.
and usage.
Do we have a guess of how many members that how many folks will buy a membership? here's my question, I don't necessarily care about that, the number. Is it worth administering it for the sake of the dollar amount?
Yeah, I think there's two things with why we want to have registration in this. If you recall, when we made a decision to enter into our contract with the Pella Dog Park Association, we actually got an opinion, both a legal opinion as far as operating the dog park, and we also got the opinion of our insurance carrier. And both of them are intertwined. But the legal opinion, what stands is the city has governmental immunity as long as we operate the dog park with the same standard of care as we would of any other park on that. What our insurance carrier went a step further, they said that standard of care, they interpreted that we should adopt, their recommendation is to adopt rules similar to the city of Des Moines. If you go to the city of Des Moines, they license all their animals within their community. They have fees for it, and then the dog park pass may come with the registration fees. And so they register it for liability purposes. That's been recommended by our insurance carrier. We're gonna end up having to buy administrative software to be able to register it. So what I would say is based off the administrative duties and keeping track of the animals for the record keeping purposes, we feel that fees probably warranted for that.
Sure.
You asked about the number of people that would be, or dogs that would be using the park, and it's really difficult to estimate that, but I can tell you back in 2017, when I checked with the local veterinarians, there were over 8,000 dogs, and that was pre-COVID, so not all, of course, are going to use the park, but even if a fraction do, that's a lot of dogs.
Mike, back to your comments on the registrations and vaccination records, and then we all know what insurance companies ask us to do, and this is Des Moines. What do the communities, and Christy, you maybe do like the Knoxvilles and the Oskaloosa's, do they require record keeping of the city for the vaccinations of the people using the dog park?
Each park is very different. The ones, like I recently talked with Waukee, and they use a software similar to what Mr. Nardini is referring to, and it keeps track of the dogs' vaccinations, whatever the city would like them to be required to provide. That's what they can, upload into the system. It really is nice as far as the safety aspect.
Yeah, I think it would be wise to do that.
And if we get, 8,000 dogs registered at $50 a piece, that's actually a pretty good revenue generator right there.
Well, if we get half of that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a caveat to that, and my Alex is waiting to jump in on this one, but the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has stated is I'm not necessarily sure we'll be able to generate a profit, and we have to invest everything, all fees that we charge have to go back into the park.
Sure.
So,
We could have some really cool amenities.
That's right, that's right.
if we had home run, so.
All right, so what do we need to do?
Well, is anybody opposed to moving forward? I mean, this thing.
No, let's get it done.
Well, I think, we've looked at this for so many years, and I think this amount of money is way less than if we had,
And really
do everything ourselves.
Yeah, and the Army Corps is really doing a lot here. They're giving up a lot, so I think if Christie's happy and the Army Corps is happy, we need to be happy. Let's get this thing done. Okay, thanks. The Iowa Rush Soccer Club agreement proposal, Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. And what we have this evening is staff's recently received a proposal from the Iowa Rush Soccer Club, and specifically they operate the club soccer portion of youth soccer in our community. We operate the recreational program for the children in our community. And what they've approached staff with is they like to consolidate the programs and operate both programs for the city of Pella. And so before proceeding with an agreement, we wanted to make sure we addressed any questions or concerns that the city council may have on this item. Now, a little bit of context with this and also background on what's being proposed. First of all, for the recreational program, they've informed us that also informed us that they plan to charge the same rates, approximately about the same rates that the city would have charged as well. So we would be operating it, and this would be effective with the fall of 2026. We would have charged residents $60 per participant, $72 for non-residents on this. The rates are going to be very similar. And then kind of the last thing, what they've also stated to staff is the overall program structure would remain relatively the same as what it currently is. Now, with this, from a financial standpoint, also on this, we believe it would be relatively revenue neutral for the city of Pella because we have additional expenses involved if we were going to administer the program this year as well. And I would also like to point out two things. A, it's our understanding the Community Services Board would review this proposal and they're in favor of moving forward. And B, this is what happened with Little League several years ago. We used to operate a recreational baseball league at the time. Little League approached us wanting to operate both programs. We cooperated several years ago and it's worked fine since then. And so soccer, we view this would be very similar with the Iowa Rush soccer agreement. And so with that, I'd like to turn over to the Recreation Director, Spencer Winston. Spencer, if there's anything additional the council should be aware of, please feel free to share those details.
Spencer Winston, 1318 North Prairie. Yeah, no, we see this could be a good combo for a win-win for both groups. So, like Mike says, they're charging similar rates, similar schedules, which is getting us out of the middle of it. And if we ever need to come back to it, we can. But we feel like this would be a good crossover time for this at this point. Is there any questions that I can?
So the control of the fields remains with the city, right?
Yes, sir. So we're still charging for the fields. Well, we charge per participant for their program. And then we take care of the fields. We'll line the fields. We're still on the parks end of it. We're still taking care of the facility.
But as far as using it, are they blocked off? They can use it a certain time, or I guess I'm trying to figure out.
We block out. We reserve the park for that.
For that.
And right now we're using other fields, but we're hoping in the fall that we'll be able to move them back to that soccer complex area. So.
And Spencer, we have a separate participant agreement on this. So we have an agreement with Little League on the fields, and we'll have an agreement with Iowa Rush on the fields as well. That'll spell out those details, which fields are available for their use, correct?
Right, and those contracts go through our Community Services Board, and so they review it every year, and staff makes recommendations. Same thing that goes on right here. So, yep, that's correct.
Is there anything that gives you pause on this agreement, or you're happy to move that all into that region?
My only concern is, a few years from now, they could with the rates, but as long as they don't, I've got no problem with it, because if they do that, we can always say, you know what, we're gonna take it back.
Sure.
But that's a looking way down the road, that probably won't happen. So, so it's my only.
The only question that I had as I read this, parents have been choosing, the recreation league versus the competitive, and now the competitive is taking over. Can they be recreation enough minded for
Right.
short, fat kids like Calvin that just want to do in the recreation part of it rather than the hardcore competitive night of it?
Yeah, so they're gonna still run. They're still gonna run their rec, and they're still gonna run the competitive end of it, and they're just gonna add the additional rec end of it. So there's not gonna be all of them are not gonna be travel teams. There's gonna be just ones that just stick in town and compete against the local teams that don't want to travel to Des Moines.
Because it would seem to me there would be a different approach that you might take to the different groups.
Right. Yeah, number of practices a week, number of games in a season, amount of hours traveled, are all those typical comp league teams is something that was going to be avoided still with their rec league.
So are we proposing a one-year agreement?
Yeah, one-year agreement. It can be reviewed every year. Yep, that's right.
I think that applies, just to make sure it works the way we hope it.
Get some parent feedback.
But the $60 per resident, is that per person?
Yes, sir.
Per participant?
Yeah, that's currently our rate.
Per
That's what it's gonna be going up to if we ran it.
So you have somebody has 4 kids, it's $240.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
So is there any open time when people can play soccer out there, if they, bring their own crew and just play soccer?
Right, well, there's lots of parks for that too. The schools, I'm sure will let you play in their green space too. And at the sport, Kevin, what do you think at the soccer complex? They don't not so much out that way?
Yeah, they're probably not at the soccer complex, but if they're using the soccer complex, we also have the sports park where we do have the soccer field area there too. There might be an overlap where they're using both facilities, but not exclusively. We don't anticipate that. So yes, Mr. Butler, there would be open space, free time for somebody to drop in. Correct.
So with the Saturday morning kids programs that happen, will they still happen out at the sports park and not at the soccer complex with these guys running?
Do you know that, Kevin?
That's, it'll be probably a combination depending on the overall numbers of the participants. We anticipate some at both.
We had kids that were at both parks depending on their age, so we might be out, when I was coaching, we might be out at the sports complex, or we might be outside.
Seems like it's a good, give it a try.
Yeah, give it a try, Kevin.
Yeah.
We can reevaluate.
As far as I know, the Little League's worked out fine.
Yeah. It's one of those things, it always kind of comes back full circle too. At some point it'll come back to the city, and then some ambitious parents will want to take it back over, and then it'll go back to the city. It's just it's a constant circle revolving door there.
Well, what I heard was John's starting a rec league for guys like us in the free space time.
Beer
I stay on one spot. The ball is coming.
Are we doing beer league soccer?
That's right.
Okay, sounds like we'll move forward. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, mobile food unit changes to operation on city-owned property.
Yeah, we talked about this at our last council meeting. Based off the input of council, just to get everyone up to speed, the city is traditionally at city events, we've provided concession services. We've determined from our business model that we think there's a lot of advantages to having the participants provide their concession services for it. Plus it saves us from the administrative cost of trying to coordinate concession workers. And the third thing is we feel if we want skin in the game, it ultimately leads to a better product on it, both for the participants and those in attendance as well. So that's what our hope is with the concession business. But just in the event that we don't have good participation, or Iowa Rush or Little League chooses not to operate concessions, we want to make sure our participants in the Pella Sports Park and other recreational venues have an opportunity for food choices. And so with that, we are proposing to allow mobile food units at those locations. So these would generally be within our athletic complexes within the city of Pella, the locations that we have. Now, based off the feedback that we have from council, we're proposing for the fees is 10% of the gross sales would be the permit fee. So whatever they sell, the city would collect 10% of that amount for our fee for it. And we also require a deposit of about $150 for this. And so before proceeding with formal consideration on this, Mr. Mayor, we'd like to get council's input on the proposed ordinance.
I didn't quite understand the refundable deposit. Is that if they don't show up, they sign for, or what causes the refund?
Spencer, Windsor, 1318 North Prairie. Yeah, so it's more like, not all these food trucks potentially are from town. So if we give someone outside like a flyer, like a tryout, and because they're not gonna pay their 10% gross until after they make their money. So we're not gonna see a dime until they're leaving, until their taillights are on and they're gone. And so there's no way of making sure that they pay us. And so the deposit's more so if they break something, don't pay us. It's just more of a way of kind of like a backstop.
It's good. It sounds like a good idea.
Yep.
Oh, and they send the contract too. So we have a contract they'll sign. So
I
sense.
think we're good.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Good. Okay. Is there anything on our upcoming?
Yeah, we do have a couple of items. We have a lot of, I feel like it's the same item. We're getting a few items stacked up on this again. Hopefully we'll out through a couple of these things. We do have 2 new items, and that's based off meetings that I've had with council members, and both of them, I think, we've kind of looking forward to discussion. One of them is, I've had discussion with a few of these folks on annexation in the future, and this is in light of, when you look at the growing community, property tax reform on it, their thoughts are, and you also look at the city's housing needs, just looking at our housing needs and the projected needs of additional 1,300 homes through the year 2035. To do that without thinking that annexation is going to be required at some point in time is probably not realistic on it. So the thought was to get ahead of this and take a look at the city's annexation needs. I think it's a discussion we need to have on it, and I think it's something we should consider in the future with the annexation. The second item that we've had is not necessarily with this council, but I'm thinking maybe Councilmember Van Stryland, when you were on with your previous tenure, I know we've talked about rental housing inspection programs for the city of Pella. Generally, cities 15,000 and greater in population are required to have rental housing programs within rental housing inspection programs on it. What's been talked about, when you look again at the needs for the additional 1,300 homes, and about 1/3 of those are rental units on there as well. And so when you look at the rental inspection programs, the number of rental units that we have in the community as well has been discussed as far as the need for a rental inspection program on it. So both of those items we will be scheduling for future meetings as well. In addition to some of the items that you're currently aware of, which would be the Washington Street corridor analysis. We talked earlier this evening on the East Oskaloosa Street improvements as well. And then of course we will be touching as soon as there's clarity on the new rules for lead water service lines as well. So with that, Mr. Mayor, that's all that we have on our list.
On the annexation subject, is that incorporated into the comprehensive plan on potential annexation areas, or?
Yeah, the comprehensive plan, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Gerald, is going to identify areas as future growth areas, and some of those areas will be outside the city of Pella on it as well. And so that's a very good point when you look at your annexation strategy to basically make sure it lines up with the city's comprehensive plan as well.
All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Dan, Mr. Hopkins, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Andy?